why you should probably consider being there. Then we'll have David McDougall speaking a little bit about PR and comms when you internationalize. Then we'll have Andrea Di Pietrantonio from from Investor, speaking about crowdfunding as a part of your internationalization. And then Price Keen, directly from London, will give you a bit of entrepreneur's viewpoint. How is it being an entrepreneur in London and so forth. I'm sure he will tell more about it. But let's start with Mark, please.
Good morning. So my name is Mark Lever. I act as an advisor to UKTI on creative and digital. UKTI has a bunch of advisors like me, so I work with them a bit of my time. I have a bunch of private sector clients as well. And I work in this innovation space where media meets digital. I've done a .com startup, all of those things. The idea is that UKTI is a network of networks, so it can be as one node of the network. So my job this morning, before these guys come and give you some texture, is to give you some context. What does the market look like? What trends are happening? How does it relate to the type of businesses that are here? So I'm going to run through very quickly through some stats. But yes, the words death by PowerPoint have been mentioned, so I won't go into to you. Just very quickly, creative industries in the UK as a subsector of the economy is worth about £77 billion of the economy. It's about 5% of the economy, so it's about the same as manufacturing or financial services. So it's a very important part of the UK economy. It's a thing that we do quite well. It's increasingly important because of figures like this. So it's growing very, very fast. And the bit that's growing fast is the bit that's related to this event. It's the bit where digital meets creative, meets technology, meets consumers. And I'll go on to a little bit about that. So it's also, as in many countries, it's a sector that the government really like because you don't need to build factories. People have ideas, they can scale them very fast, they employ a bunch of people. So you don't need big capital investment to grow this economy. One of the reasons that we the UK kind of has a fantastic international profile. I think part of it's about things like this. It's about international creative brands. And the reason I raise them at a tech conference is because one of the things that people come to the UK for, and Finland's very, very similar, is this sense of design and this sense of creativity. And if you can bring technology with user experience and a kind of creative user interface, then you have a product that runs very well. And I work a lot with US companies who come into London in particular because they're looking for a different way of approaching a problem. They're looking for a different way of presenting a product. And it all kind of drives out of this kind of creative ecosystem. So we've got another place where creative meets tech is visual effects. And London's a real hub of visual effects. We've won the Oscar for the last 2 years. And that's driven by the fact that £1.2 billion worth of US film production comes through the UK. So the film industry in the UK is a service industry rather than a production industry primarily. On the software side, it's a very big market. There's a lot of people on the internet. We're a very, very digital company, digital country. The thing that's probably of most interest is this, and I'll come on to another slide around this, is there is a big switch in the UK of expenditure onto online platforms, whether it's e-commerce or m-commerce. And within, I'm sorry I should translate this back to euros anyway, you can work out roughly what it is. Within the G20, the British population spend more online than any other country. Double Germany, more than France, more than the US. So it's an environment where there are a lot of people working on software, where there's lots of skills, but there's also a consumer base that spends, and that's important. The other impacts on digital are the same as everywhere else. How we communicate, how we find information, how we purchase things, what we do. So just some quick things. We like to use digital platforms to view content now. We are increasingly moving, not away from TV, but we do these two things in tandem. BBC iPlayer is the one I picked. There are 65 million people in the UK. On an average month, BBC iPlayer gets 200 million plus programme requests. So everybody's going there. If there's a Sherlock or a Doctor Who, it's higher than that. The other thing that's important out of that, about 45% of them are from iPad or mobile. So if you're working in an environment where you're trying to deliver digital content via iPad or mobile, you have a market here. Another thing that's, social is a key driver of attention everywhere. Facebook is probably seen as our age group. My daughter would never go anywhere near Facebook. She would be on Instagram or Tumblr or WhatsApp. So the maturing of the social market is driving people. And one of the things that these two are linked, and I'll just have a quick case study. People believe social media a lot more than they believe a TV advert, and it's much more trackable. And this kind of dynamic has had a massive impact on UK advertising. I use this as a case study of the impact of digital. So UK advertising has been 17 or 18 billion pounds a year for quite a while, and it goes up and down depending on whether it's a sports event or a recession. The big change is this. So digital advertising is growing rapidly and is now a significant proportion. Last year 7.2 billion, and within that mobile advertising was 1.6 billion. So 63% rise 2013-14, 93% rise 2012-2015. So these industries here, mobile advertising, native advertising, social ad spend, digital video, didn't exist 10 years ago. The press has gone off a cliff like this, digital advertising is going like that. So I work with a lot of ad tech businesses, and I saw quite a few upstairs who are in this kind of space, because suddenly there's a £7 billion market that didn't exist 10 years ago. And it's in an environment where British creative within advertising is world renowned. So these are the types of things which create an opportunity for you when you come into the UK. Just quickly on the environment, and these guys will cover it from their own personal experience. As well as creative excellence, we have an interesting time zone, not so different from you. I wake up in the morning and I talk to Japan, and before I go to, before I finish my day in the evening, I talk to LA. And I can do them both from here. There's a very strong skills base, and one of the great things we have as being Europeans, although I hope the UK government doesn't decide not to be European very soon, we'll see, is that we can move people around. So any creative business or tech business in the UK tends to be a very multicultural place, because we're recruiting from across Europe. And I say these creative and tech sectors build from a wider ecosystem and a wider creative ecosystem. They mix fashion, art, design, music. I always like to have Sex Pistols on my government slides, because there's something about the bloody-mindedness of the average creative which actually works very well in the tech sector. And just in terms of government support, UKCI, particularly Mari and Anna are here in Helsinki. There's a whole team in London. We're about providing you with market intelligence advice, the advice on the infrastructure of how you set up a company, how you hire people, what the taxation is, but also about, as I say, about connections, about who else is in the marketplace. Can we get you in front of into the places where you might find clients? Other things that are interesting within this space, research and development and innovation is a big priority for the UK government, so there are tax credits around R&D. The games industry in the UK uses R&D tax credits a lot when they're looking at new interfaces or new design. Innovate UK is a funding body. They fund about £300 million a year in accelerating innovation, so similar to TechS here, but very much about accelerating innovation. If you have a UK company, you can apply into that. And the other thing which is a big driver is we have tax reliefs within the creative industries for film, animation, video games, and very, very high budget TV drama. But the impact of these tax reliefs on animation and video games has been very marked. Those two tax reliefs have been in for a year, and they've had a big drive on the industry. So if you're making I was talking to someone who's making an animation product yesterday, so a co-production with a UK company could be very competitive. So, I say those are kind of levers by which the government is seeking to encourage you and support you in the UK market. So a very quick scamper through to give you some sense of context. You can come away with anything. There's an interesting skills base, there's a creative and tech ecosystem, and there's a marketplace where the trends are all moving in the direction of digital technology. And there are a bunch of people who can help you. And that's my contact, so if we don't talk afterwards, then feel free to ping me whenever you have a question. Thank you.